before I get the client in?
No, because I'll just here to translate.
Yes, yeah. Interpretation. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, good. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Monica.
Hi, Monica.
And yeah, you're here. Come on in.
You're here. Come on in.
And this is Nahme. She's interpreting for us.
And this is Natalie. She's interpreting for
Amy, right? Please come this way.
Please come this way.
If you would like to have a seat here. If you would like to have a seat here. Hey. I can see you're really upset.
I can see you're really upset.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Let's take a deep breath.
Let's take a deep breath.
All right.
All right.
Push your feet in the ground.
Push your feet in the ground.
Can you tell me what's upsetting you?
Can you tell me what's upsetting you?
I just have a really big fight with my boyfriend, and I'm just really upset. I'm not too sure what to do.
I just really had a big fight with my boyfriend, and I'm really upset. I'm not sure what to do.
Okay.
Okay.
When did that fight happen?
When did that fight happen?
Just last night.
Just last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the options you're thinking about what we can do right now?
And what are the options you're thinking you can do right now?
I don't really know, and that's why it's bothering me, because I feel like there's no solution to my problem.
I really don't know, because it's really bothering me that I don't have a solution to this problem.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes that's how I feel too.
Okay, good. Cut. Just stay where you are, please. Now, I'm going to start crying, and I'm going to console.
Without doing it.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay?
Sorry, yeah. Can you just say what I'm saying?
Okay. Can you just say what I'm saying?
Oh, I wouldn't know that you're saying that. Great. Okay.
What did you pick up in the first part? And what did you observe in the first part that was really good?
Well, the intonation was right on.
The intonation
That was
right
really
on.
good.
Did you look at their posture?
They were mirroring each other.
They were mirroring each other. Nahme was showing a great deal of empathy also. She was sitting in a very similar way as Monica was sitting.
Yeah.
So they were both leaning forward, showing an interest. So you two were really mirroring. No, you were mirroring the counselor, which is good. Like there was empathy in both of your faces. And then what happened when the client started to cry?
The interpreter went in to comfort her.
I went against my border.
Not yet.
On my border.
Maternal instinct kicked in. And is that okay?
No,
Because what should have been done?
Well, I should have somehow been able to provide the comfort
Before.
and
No, we're just talking about the interpreter, because you don't need to say, I'm going to do this or do that. You're the counselor. You do whatever you want with the client. We're talking about the interpreter should not be consoling. The interpreter should just remain quiet. Keep her mouth shut and not go console.
So
the
if she
client.
gets up and goes to console her, I'm still sitting here.
Exactly. Yes.
Or
But
if
just
even
repeating what she's saying to her.
Just repeating exactly what she's saying.
Or even if she sits and waits and doesn't console,
just
Because
maybe-
sometimes the
yeah.
counselor might just want to let the client
Yeah.
cry for a while.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
emotional,
Yes.
do whatever she
Yeah.
wants.
Yeah.
Okay, the client is, the counselor knows what she's doing. Then, hopefully, no. But then, the counselor will know when to step in, when to console or not, or just maybe just grab a box of Kleenex, give her some tissue. And that's it. Interpreter's only gonna sit there and just
So my
interpret.
question here is, like when she's doing like all the gestures that she is, and I was just following what she was doing, like the sigh, everything. Should I be doing that or just the translation?
If I was a client, I'd feel like it was a lot. I would feel like there were at least 2 others, like 2. It's quite a lot to me.
That's why I wanted to know is,
Just the
should I?
translation.
Okay, so
Not doing the
not to do
translation.
the sighing or,
No, you
No,
don't
nothing
need
like
to
that.
start.
No,
You-
okay,
You
no,
kind
okay.
of sit back and translate what
okay.
she's saying.
okay.
Because she is the one showing it. to the
Exactly, that's
client.
what I wanted to do.
Yeah, because it would be
That would be a lot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was the feedback that it's good that you were mirroring, so
That
how
was
does that
at
go
the
together?
beginning, it was a quiet, gentle mirroring, like it showed that she is with you and both of you are feeling empathy towards the client. So that's perfectly acceptable. In fact, if you just sat back like that.
Yeah, and then just do
Yeah.
that.
That shows that you're really not interested in this.
Yeah.
So your posture of being forward shows that you are in what you are interested in.
And then the counselor could get aggressive with the client, raise her voice. You don't want to do that as an interpreter.
Exactly,
Oh.
exactly.
You want to
Just keep it one tone.
maintain your professional demeanor and keep the same tone throughout the process.
So she would want to be careful with even how much empathy, like, she said, oh, what happened? Like, I feel like you were heading in.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, yeah, not to do that, just the translation.
Well, I'm not a teacher, that's not my opinion, but am I right? Or doesn't the empathy, if she's leaning forward and using the same tone and everything, doesn't it have to be a lot?
Well, her tone was really appropriate,
Yes.
except when she jumped up to comfort the
Okay, so I'm gonna
client.
tell that time it won't work for you. If I were the client, I would have felt like I had 2 people. It just felt like I would just.
No, not at all. Not when you're in
You don't care.
that situation. The client would probably want us interpreters.
To sit forward and just talk in the same tone.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, because it makes it easier for the client.
Okay.
So what she did was excellent.
Perfect.
I wouldn't change a
Perfect
thing
until she stood up.
until she stood up to console the client when she
Okay.
was crying.
So it is not up to the interpreter to console, it is always up to the counselor.
And for example, if the counselor said, what happened? We say, what happened? Do you? Like, we don't do the same intonation.
But that's where I'm a bit confused, because I was doing exactly, and the feedback that I'm getting is that was okay.
She did excellent.
So I would use the same intonation.
Absolutely.
We use the same intonation?
Yes,
So for
that's
example,
being in sync.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's because you're giving the feeling as well.
Exactly.
I'm not sure that I think that that is an appropriate response, because this is an emotional exchange. And I think the energy should be contained between the therapist and the client. And I think that the interpreter is just the words. It's not the emotion. Of course, you want someone attentive. You want someone who is actively, you can get eye contact if you need to, but I would not want to have the energy dispersed that way.
But there's no big emotions here whatsoever.
But there will be, so she's asking a general question.
Okay, then,
Amy, how did you feel? I just feel like both of them really care about me. So instead of only have one support, and I have 2.
Just 2 counselors.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that's not good.
Well,
Exactly.
one
Exactly. There's only one
speaking in your
counselor.
own language.
Oh, yeah.
Normally. Like, did you feel the difference between Monica and Rahman? As to who is the counselor and who is the interpreter?
Yeah, I wonder too if it's just the words without any like of the intonation or emotional tone, that it could actually be misunderstood, because communication isn't just the words,
But
right?
she's watching you
But
and how you're saying something.
yes,
And all Nachme is doing is giving her the words that go to your emotions.
yes.
But there's
Not
nothing
at the
wrong
same
with that,
time. Mhm.
because now we're all English here.
Mhm.
When she's an Arabic client, for example, you want the Arabic client to get the same emotions from the interpreter as the counselor, to make you to understand. When you're an Arabic client and the counselor is speaking to you in English, you don't know what they're saying. You don't know their emotions, how they're feeling. But as an Arabic interpreter, when I'm interpreting and put a little bit of emotions, then that's good for the non-speaking English or non-English
I
speaker.
don't agree. I think the transaction is the client and the therapist, and I think the translator is an interested participant only in the process, not in the actual interaction.
But she's not doing interaction. The interpreter is a voice. You're not sitting there. You're sitting backward. You don't even sit just the way she's sitting behind the counselor. Okay? You're just a voice.
But when I say
But that's too up to the counselor and the interpreter when they first do briefing and introduction between one another. The counselor, you can tell your interpreter that when I'm speaking, I want you to keep the same tone throughout.
Okay.
If I get emotional, if I start yelling, if I'm sad, speak with sadness, I don't want you to copy what I'm doing. Just keep it a neutral tone throughout the process. Some counselors want, like the counselors I work for, they want me to do exactly what they're doing.
Can you demonstrate, could we have a demonstration of an Arabic-speaking person and you're the Arabic-speaking translate? What you're saying?
How, yeah,
We
like
can
the
see it?
exact
So
translation.
we can see it, and then an English-speaking counselor? Just.
So let's do, you can stay and maybe you can do the translation and you can.
You could be the
Should
client.
Go back.
It's
Or the other man.
Can you afford another 15 minutes?
Oh, me too.
You can be the counselor.
I'm sure.
Yes.
We start right here.
Okay, what do you need? Client, translator, interpreter.
Okay, so there's a counselor doing the client.
I'm the client. Okay. Nice shoes.
Okay.
Hello again, Jasmine.
Hello again, Jasmine.
In Arabic.
مرحبا ياسمين. مرحبا مجددا ياسمين.
مرحبا أهلا فيك.
Hello.
Monica.
Hello to you.
Nice to see you again. How are you today?
الحمد لله أنا كويسة.
You didn't wait for the translation.
Sorry, I'm tired. Okay, I'm very sorry. Okay, تفضل.
Nice to see you again. How are you?
سعدت بلقائك مرة أخرى. كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله كويسة.
Thanks to God, I'm good.
Can you tell me about how you were doing in this last week?
ممكن تقولي لي كيف سويتي وكيف كان شعورك الأسبوع الماضي؟
الأسبوع اللي فات يعني كل شيء كثير ضغط كثير.
The previous week, everything was lots of pressure.
Excuse me, I didn't hear.
The previous week, everything was lots of pressure.
also.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll try like to translate like as much like as I hear it. Like I don't put like lots of effort like to put like.
I couldn't understand acoustically the
Okay.
last word, so.
Pressure.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the translation.
أنا آسفة ما سمعت الترجمة.
اوكي مش مشكلة.
No problem.
Okay. Sorry. Did you say not a lot of pressure or a lot of pressure?
المعذرة قلتي ضغط قليل ولا ضغط كثير؟
ضغط كتير.
Lots of pressure.
Okay. And what is one of the things where you're feeling that pressure?
وكيف وش هو واحد من الأشياء اللي حسيت فيها إنه في ضغط عليك كثير؟
والأولاد وقت المدارس هلا.
The kids.
مين بده؟
The kids at the school time now.
School.
The kids at the school time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that can be stressful getting them off on time.
نعم ممكن أشوف هذا كيف إنه يكون مثير للقلق والتوتر في أوقات.
Okay, good. This is really good. I like this because he's speaking very, you know, the same tone, everything, and this is clear. He's interpreting everything you're saying, even when you can hear him or asking the question or to repeat the question, he's still interpreting it back to me.
So Jasmine, get emotional so you can prove what you were saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
May I ask you to turn it on?
يا طيب اوكي هلا شو هاي بدنا نسوي هذا غصونا هلا يعني مش رح استفيد انا من هذا الاجتماع.
When I get ready, when it is finished as soon as possible, I don't think that I'm gonna get any benefits from this meeting.
And yeah, what would you like to get from this meeting?
وش تحبي تحصلي من هذا الاجتماع؟ وش تفضلي؟ وش تحصلي؟
بدي مشاكل تنحل.
I want problems solved.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
نعم أنا أقدر أفهم الشيء هذا. هذا شيء مفهوم.
And what type of help do you think you need?
Oh.
وش نوع المساعدة تتوقعين إنك تحتاجين؟
Can we take a moment and take a step back together?
ممكن ناخذ لحظة ونستجمع قوانا مرة ثانية.
قولها يا عيني انه حتى اذا سويت هذا كل يوم معها هون مش رح تقدر تساعدني. ما في اي حدا بالدنيا حيقدر يساعدني يعني.
She couldn't be able to help me. Nobody can help me.
Okay.
What do you notice here? Any observations? Now, Abdullah is a very different translator than Ahmad was. It's not that one is better than the other. People are different. What did you notice here?
Most of the time he's very useful and he was making eye contact. There was one time he felt that he needed to convey something.
Sorry, I can't hear so well. Excuse me, please.
Okay, most what you were saying is Abdullah is very neutral and was looking down, so not making eye contact.
Except at one point he did. It was something that he needed to convey that you were trying to convey, and he did make an eye contact somewhere in the first third.
Now, do you have, like, obviously your preference would be a very neutral interpreter.
Absolutely, because the transaction of emotion and everything is between me and my client, and not with my interpreter. My interpreter is just the words.
So what's the general feeling here?
That needs to be worked out between the therapist and the interpreter.
But if we match a counselor and an interpreter, let's say you and Nutmeg were a pair, and you're quite expressive. You may not work as well together.
But I think that Nutmeg would know if she's working with me. For example, I may get up and say to my kids, "So what did the storm monster look like? Did he go like this?" She can't get up and do that with me. She's got to be able to be in the chair and say, "That was the storm monster. What did he look like? Did he go like this?" So I'm very interactive with the children, and children are not very vocal. So my interpreter has to be able to really just use my words, because I also put a lot of pauses between my interactions.
So you want her to sit
So I would
in
probably
the chair and
Yes.
just use the words.
But I think you could tell her what you needed, and she would make that
Exactly.
adjustment.
She could do whatever. I mean, everyone
Yes.
here is capable
Yeah.
of following the lead.
How about both, where counselors could put their hands up if they want emotion, and then the one who don't, but honestly, it's a good way to go to know, because maybe it's
No, because sometimes I would want someone to be sitting there and talking to my child next to me, close up. We might be together on a pillow, on the floor. Who knows? But I think that the ability of the therapist to work with the translator is their collaboration. And I would say to my translator before my session, because I do play therapy and art therapy, this is my plan for the session. I'm going to do this and that and this and that. And I'd like you to help with this or that, or please just give him a chance to pause to put things together.
Well, the reason I asked is because Hillary's also a counselor and also made the same request you did. So I'm wondering if it's across the board where counselors feel that way, they're less emotional, let's just get straight with the translation.
I think
How do you feel?
Diana?
Yes.
How do you feel?
Well, in practice, I prefer this style, for sure. And I've had the other overboard, and I think that's why I like this style a lot, because it's there isn't that, I guess it's safer in a sense, because the translator knows his or her place and shows that they know that kind of through not getting too involved emotionally.
I've been lost.
Right? But on the other hand, I think, I mean, I feel a little mixed about this, because on the other hand, I thought with that first group, I think it was, and I commented that there was the intonation was was mirroring the intonation of the counselor, and I thought that was good. I think it's just a fine line, you know, but if once you get emotionally involved, it can easily spill over into too much.
Yeah, I think there has to be a balance between the two. Like when I got up to go to console the person, that's going beyond it, right? But I think to a certain amount, you need to show some expression as you're doing the translation, but not being bland. You can't be bland.
I'm not sure. I really felt a little bit lost in translation, actually, and I'm not sure. I don't hear so well, and sometimes I think
He was speaking very low.
Yeah, it was too
It's
low.
really important as an interpreter to speak clear, concise, and articulate your words.
Now, one of Abdullah's difficulty is to raise his voice. He generally speaks
But the
very
interpretation is spot on.
Oh yeah,
The interpretation is spot on, but several times we have heard comments to talk louder, because some of the clients don't hear very well. And so just a little louder is perfect. Now, what about the lack of eye contact? I would have preferred him to look at you when he's translating. You look down.
Yeah.
But isn't that a cultural difference as well, not making eye contact because of respect to the person? Not, it's
a cultural
it's like a bold
Like a
stare,
man and a
like
woman.
a
Is
stare.
it
You don't
an
stare.
Arabic cultural difference?
would
I
say
know
some-
in Asia
no,
it's,
no.
No,
I don't
no,
think so.
Some places.
Some places.
Some
Not all
places.
Arabic culture is the same.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
there is Arabic people that don't shake, Muslim
Hands,
people
that's
don't
right.
shake hands, women, but some men, I've noticed here, some of the Syrians, depend on where they come from, the men don't shake man's hand, even,
Yeah.
either. Which happened here, which I was surprised. I was interpreting for the Syrian family. They told me, tell the doctor not to shake my hand because I will not shake. And I said, oh, but you're a man. In the culture, a man can shake another man's hand. He goes, not in my village where I come from. So, but no, eye contact, there's
Eye
nothing
contact
wrong with
is-
that unless it's a man, religious man, and the interpreter is a female interpreter, then you don't want to look. It's common sense. You don't really want to stare at their eyes. But sometimes the client likes me looking in their eyes. So really, you just see whatever you feel comfortable with. Yes. Oh, just really judge it by the session. If the first session, you see how it works, have your feedback with the counselor, and see if it was all went well. You know, you just really, there is no right and wrong, because I know clients look at me when I'm interpreting, female clients, and I look at them, and I try not to look at them. I turn my head and I ask them to look at the counselor most of the time. But it takes time to train the client to look at the counselor instead of the interpreter. Yes, ma'am. And then also another thing is because you told us to have a pad. Exactly.
Right? So a lot of times we are looking down. To
Of course.
No.
Absolutely. And
So we're not always, looking at the counselor or
No.
the client.
Most of the
as
time-
the counselor is
Bravo.
speaking,
That's-
writing, and then we want to.
That's the best way, because when I'm interpreting, I'm sitting here, the client's sitting there, the counselor's sitting there, over there. They're talking to one another, I'm not even looking most of the time. I'll glance once in a while, and then I'll just take notes, and then I interpret. I only look at them, at the client when I'm interpreting, and then I'm taking notes, so.
Just to put in here, then, don't you think eye contact is important for feeling that the person is honest and they can trust them, they're looking at them, that's the way I see it.
Some at the beginning, when you just first meet a client for the first time, you want them to trust you, okay? And then after that, you tell the client to look at the counselor, to try to look at the counselor. I have trained the clients to start. It took them 6 sessions before they start looking at the counselor and not at me. The only reason they look at us because we're from the same culture and they feel more comfortable. But I tell them to please look. Then what I start to do is I write, pretend, ignore them, I don't see them, so they don't look at me. Then they start looking at the counselor when they see I'm not even looking at them.
So would you ever have the translator sitting behind the client?
Sorry, what was the question?
I was just asking if you'd ever have the translator sitting behind the client.
The translators, no, you don't want the translator sitting behind the client at all. You want the translator to be able to see the client, but not
for
the
the
counselor.
expressions and
Exactly, exactly.
Because the grouping is that way.
Yeah.
Translator and counselor working together, they are really one with 2 voices.
Yes.
Yeah, but this time I felt like I would want to see. I think maybe it was because it wasn't loud enough for me, but maybe it might have also been that I was missing the emotional. I felt outside of this. It was also you trying to do that.
Yes,
in a way.
but he sat right behind you, and that's not where I would sit.
Okay.
So this is how I do it. So I'm here, he's the client, and the counselor is over there. Best way in any, see, there we go.
Sitting where here?
Sorry, he's the client, you're the counselor, I'm the interpreter. So this is how I sit, okay? Now I'm facing him, and you're there,
Exactly. Only when you need to glance at me, once you can.
Okay, you're forward is fine.
But I'm more,
In the middle of
sorry, bring your chair just up. That's exactly what I'm, right there. So,
okay.
and I'm turning this way, and I'm writing. And I would not look at you unless, we have to formally say the interpreter needs to interrupt, and client looks at you, and he's gonna glance at me sometime. But I'm there.
But how do you, because you should not have your own conversation with him, so how do you instruct him and train him to look at me instead of you?
Because that's what we're doing in the first session, the introduction session.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is so-and-so, this is the interpreter. I'm going to be taking notes. I will get rid of the notes. I'm just taking them to jog my memory. Would you please, then you'll be saying all that while I'm interpreting. Jasmine is going to be taking notes. And would you look at me? Try to look at me, and I'll be interpreting all of this. So we set the rules right from the beginning. Okay?
Yeah. How about, like, each situation is different,
Exactly.
and we can adjust,
Yes.
use our common sense to
Absolutely.
adjust
Yes.
with respect to each situation.
Of course.
Just
It's all
following some basic rules.
You have to have, that's right. You have to follow the basic rules though.
Of course.
And then it's common sense.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just as soon as you know what you're doing, you use your common sense, respecting everybody's role.
Yes, bravo.
Now, before you leave, there is a very quick evaluation for you to complete. It takes about 2 minutes.
You might